Hi friends, welcome back to my channel Testing Mini Bytes. I am your friend Amudan Shaktivel, and in this video we're gonna continue with our code refactoring tutorials. Good. And in the previous video we have understood what is static method in detail, but we'll have a quick recap today, and then we'll get on to today's session. Right. So yeah, so we have certain advantages when using static methods. Yeah, static methods are most commonly used in utility classes, and the behavior of these static methods remains common for all the instances, right? So, and you have the capability to call that using class name dot method name, and that's a good approach. Please don't create an object for it and then call the static methods. Most of the IDE throws warning, but it's a very good practice just to call a static method using class name and method name. And if you are someone who is or creating a static method, if you are creating a class with only static methods, please shield your constructor with the private access modifier, so that people don't call that static method using objects, right? And always, if possible, try to replace your constructors with static methods. That is really really beneficial. I have a good example to showcase, but we'll go through this once, and then I'll get started with this particular use case, right? Again, static methods are most commonly used with your factory method. Again, we have implemented that already, and it can be also used in singleton design pattern. We will see that in the upcoming videos. And it also has some problems. um, Again, it depends upon your use case. You need to decide based upon your knowledge whether to use a static method or non-static method. Again, if you want method overriding, you cannot do it with static methods, because method hiding will happen. It is clearly explained in the previous video. If you haven't watched that, please do watch that. And static methods are really hard to test using mocks. That's we already understood. And static methods implies that we are compromising the object oriented principles to some extent. Let's imagine that you have an employee class, or whatever the class name you have bunch of non-static methods, and then there are couple or three static methods, which means, right, the static methods most probably indicates that they don't belong to that particular class, right? If you combine both non-static and static, most probably it indicates that you need to move that static methods out of the class, because it is a separate entity on its own. It has its own responsibility by single responsibility principle. If you can move this static method as a as a different class, right? Yeah. So you need to balance it properly, right? Whenever you're using static methods, yeah, it is okay to have a static method that can replace your constructor with other non-static methods. But yeah, but having a separate static method uh, to do some other task indicates that you may have to separate extract that as into a different class, right? Even if you get some of it's okay for me. You can gradually learn. Again, clean code is something that you to strive to improve every day, and it doesn't happen overnight, so it's fine. Good. So without wasting much time, let's go to the IntelliJ. And we have already created driver factory, and then we also created random service. We also understood all these things. So again, to practice clean code, again, remove all the unnecessary comments, because my code here explains with very neatly what this method does, what this class does. So I don't have to really give the comments to explain them. Okay. And good. So we have added some changes, and let's see whether this is working, because our ultimate goal is do refactoring a little and test a little. So let's go to the testng.xml and then try to run it. Okay, there is a null pointer exception. Let's see what happens. So the stack trace clearly tells in the 20th line there is a null pointer. Okay, so the driver variable is not available. Okay, let's go to the base test. Okay, base test, we have the driver. Okay. Okay, we haven't actually, we have created, extracted this into a separate method, but we haven't bothered enough to assign the value. So should be driver factory dot get driver, and then the browser name, right? So this should be the case. Good. So now let's try to run it again. I can run from here as well. Yeah, now the program is getting started, which is fine. Again, this has some problems with with the code, so it might fail because it was failing before as well. So we'll come to that later. So it is having some problems with finding no such element exception, all that stuff. Yeah, we'll fix that later. But for now, let's see what are the attacks. Run the test is basically finish. And naming convention is a continuous process. I think there are a lot of files we need to name, so I'll keep it open. And then we also have another task called as cleanup base test. So we are trying to do cleanup of this base test, so we'll continue further. So that's the task for today. And if you notice, we have these clumsy variables, we need to remove them. I'll come to that later. But apart from that, they also have before class and after class annotation, which I'm not a big fan of. I'll tell you why. And I also have to remove this out. Okay, before that, we'll try to fix this. Okay, the reason why this before class shouldn't be used, because okay, if you have a class, okay, this how this before class works. Before running this particular class, okay, it goes and check, okay, there is a before class, and it'll goes and launch your browser. And after running the test, it'll close the browser. That's fine. What's the problem on that? Okay, if there is a new tester coming to your project, let's say he adds one more test to this. Okay, so in those cases, your browser will be launched only once, but your so your browser will be closed at only once. So in the next test, okay, when you're trying to get the URL and then do stuff, maybe the application may not be in the desired state because you wouldn't have logged in, or maybe it would have logged out, whatever. So it's better, right, to change this to before method. Okay, so so it will be launching for every method. Okay, so if you keep it as a before method, it will work even if you have only one test in the test class, or if you have multiple tests. So it's better to keep this to a method level, right? So that's a very good approach. Okay, and most importantly, we have done a lot of changes, and you could have seen a lot of unused imports here. Okay, unused imports are really bad, so you can clean them with your shortcuts. Again, you can see the shortcuts here with the presentation assist. And yeah, so now this all looks fine. So let's go further, and this method needs to be removed. Again, taking screenshot, look at the name, guys, look at the name, capture screen. Okay, what does it mean? Do you want to capture this as a image or a video? How do you want to capture it? Are you going to capture it as a JPG file? So I have to really look into the description to understand what they're actually doing. The name doesn't actually indicates what it does. So maybe you can rename this. Okay, so what I can do, capture screen as PNG file or as an image file. So it's more readable than before, right? So you continuously try to refactor it, even if you think as images doesn't convey anything as PNG. Okay, it's more, PNG image, whatever. It's more readable, right? So good. Again, they're passing two different parameters. One of them is a driver variable, and another one is basically a t name. What is t name? Okay, I will try to see what is a T name. Okay, I think they're meaning the test case name. Let's see what they're actually using this. Okay, so I'm just going to the usages where they are using it. So if you notice, they're passing the driver and then the test case name. Okay, so test T name doesn't actually indicates what it is. I need to spend some efforts to understand what that does. So let's try to refactor this as well. So test case name. The problem with this method is it's taking more arguments. Okay, so there are certain rules, when you are thinking about writing a method. So they are not hard coded rules, or that you need to follow definitely, but they can definitely help you to write better methods. I'll speak about them in a while. Okay, but if you notice, this doesn't belong here. Okay, this method is only dealing about set up browser and tear down browser. Why do you want to have something that captures an image or a screenshot? Okay, capture screen. Okay, so this doesn't belong here, so I need to extract this. Maybe this can be considered as a utility. Yes, taking screenshot is a utility, because in automation we normally take screenshot, right? As a utility, right? It's not our main goal. So we can extract this, and then we can go and create new class. You can think about whether you want a service layer to abstract anything. For now, I'll just go ahead and create without uh, you know screenshot URLs. And here, what I can do, I can paste this method here. Okay. Now it has two problems. One is basically this. So they cannot able to call this. That's fine. So I'll basically change this to static, and then I'll make this a final class so that nobody extend this, because people use inheritance for fun. So I don't want that. Private screenshot URLs. I'm doing private because the only method that is exposed is static method, and I don't want to expose my constructor. So now let's go to the usages. Okay, I can click here and then go to the usages. Okay, it doesn't tell anything. Okay, let's go to the base test. I have removed it. It should actually take me here where they are using this. Okay, you notice this is what. So I can basically do the screenshot tutorials dot. But again, I'll fix this. This is not a really good. So the error should go away, but it's not. They're using this in multiple places. Okay, it's not an issue. Okay, they are using here as well. So screenshot utils capture image. Good. So now let's go here, and all the errors are gone. But again, there are things that you need to understand, that creating an base, the file screenshot as an image is not a good approach. Why? Okay, let's go and check their class how they are using this. If you notice, there is a lot of problems here. Okay, I don't know, I thought about covering something, but it making to fix something else. Okay, writing if conditions. Okay, and then asserting assert dot true logger dot info test pass. If it is a fail, okay, if it is not matching, they are taking a screenshot. And okay, what if the test fails here? What if the test fails here? Okay, it won't even reach this particular code. Okay, they should have used something else. Let's try to debug it, guys. Okay, they have something called as reporting. Okay, I went inside this. Okay, so let's take, they have listener, they have implemented test listener adapter. So in that case, on each test failure, it will automatically take screenshot. Okay, what they're actually doing here. Okay, oh, so what they are doing, they, this is really wrong, guys. Okay, so when the message, what they're doing, they're just taking the screenshot here. Okay, they are not appending to the report. Where they are appending to the report, they're only appending to the report on test failure. Okay, let's assume what is the problem here. Okay, let's consider a scenario where your test fails before this. Okay, your test fails here, then what happens? Okay, maybe your test fails while loading the URL. So this code will never be reached. Okay, the same case here. If your code fails here, this code will be never be reached. So you should not write assertions inside if condition. That's completely weird, and I have never seen somebody doing that. Let's try to fix this. Okay, for example, you can use testng or assert j. I am a big fan of assert j, but I don't want to add that. Let's fix the existing code here. Okay, now the actual and expected. So the actual message is basically message. Okay, they have given a name like message. For now we'll use that, comma, and expected is basically this. Okay, so you don't need this at all. Okay, you don't need to do this. Okay, okay, you don't have to take the screenshot like this and then upload it later. Okay, so this is more neat. Again, I can basically rename this to actual message. Okay, good. And again, this you can extract it as a string constant, so that you don't have to really change this here. Because suppose if they change the value tomorrow, okay, you have to come and change in each of the method, which is not actually good. Either you at least extract this as a local variable, at least here as a class variable, or better to keep it as a string constant in a separate class. We'll come to that later, but for now let's go here. And if there is a test, that is getting failed, it will automatically takes the screenshot. We'll go to the reporting. Okay, so you don't have to even really check for this. Okay, you can directly call this method. Okay, you don't have to really do all these things. Okay, and remove all this nonsense, and here you can call screenshot utils dot captures. Okay, whatever, but I don't have a driver with me. But for now, uh, let's assume, I cannot pass this driver from here, right? So that's a real deal. Okay, I cannot pass it. Maybe the test case name I can pass, because I can basically use reflection here. So result dot get name dot, yeah, get name is fine. So let's go and alter this. So let me keep the method like this. Okay, but where will you get this method? Okay, for now I'm just doing web driver. Okay, but this is not a good approach, guys. Just for uh, this strange reason I have used like this. Okay, this is not a good approach. Okay, then what is telling? It's all good. Why you're causing problems? Okay, they are using, yeah. So let's go and fix this in the login test. Okay, go and remove this. Or let's remove the whole stuff. Okay, for now let's comment this, guys. Okay, I don't want to fix this session again. Yeah, for time being we'll remove that. Okay, now it's failure. Okay, everything is basically result. Okay, so surround with try catch block. Why? Because they're actually doing a lot of things here. It throws an IO exception. Let me remove that. So the copy file here throws an exception. So maybe if you have Lombok, you can do the sneaky throws. Otherwise, I have to handle the exception. See, that's the problem, guys. You don't have to really do like this. Okay, instead you can basically take this as a. For now, what I can do, I can just cover this with the try catch block. But this is really not a good approach. I'm not a big fan of this, but yeah. Again, I'm using the higher hierarchy again. That is wrong, but for now, yeah, for now we'll do that. And I don't even have to do this. Okay, so but the good thing is, okay, you can actually have public static void space 64 image. Okay, that's a good approach, and you don't have to really bother about doing all these things. You don't have to pass parameters. It just you need, you know uh, you need the take screenshot. Okay, okay. Mhm. Come on, is it something I'm doing wrong? No. Or basically I can just copy this code. Okay, instead of this you can just remove this and add base 64. Okay, and you don't have to really bother about it. Okay, this basically returns you the string. Okay, good. Yeah, so all the errors are gone. This is fine. So we have to use some approach like this. I don't know why still this is showing error, but everything is solved. I don't know, still it's showing some errors, but yeah. So I have to close the file and open it. I don't know, it's an issue. Yeah, so now all the issues are started. But if you notice why I prefer to have zero arguments. Okay, there are certain rules that I follow. Some of them are really good, so you can follow them as well. So basically try to have uh, good readable name for methods. Okay, that is very important, right? You can have very long descriptive names. Okay, long descriptive names. Okay, that's fine. Okay, instead of writing command. Okay, if I don't give a proper name here, okay, if I just give capture screen, and then people, I have seen capture, okay, they have write like this, capture screenshot um, in the form of base 64 string. Why do you need to write this? Okay, instead you can avoid these kind of commands, and then you can have a better name that can help you to understand, instead of writing the command, give a long descriptive names. Again, make sure your public methods are having very good names. Again, that too, public static methods need to have, they can have really long names, that doesn't matter, because public scope indicates anyone from the, in the project can access you. Okay, so it has to be really readable, right? If it have a private scope, in that case, most probably, the user can scroll up and down to understand what this method actually does, right? So the long descriptive names may not be a real need in you know in private method, but that doesn't mean, you should have unmeaningful names. Okay, have a meaningful name, but public static, you can go, you can have the liberty to go on, a little longer, right? That's what I'm trying to say. And then what else we can think about? Again, try to have less number of arguments. Okay, the problem with, more arguments, right? For example, I need to, if I have to really worry about this test case name, okay, whether this test case name will come, all these things will happen, right? Again, based on this argument, there may be a possibility that my method can do different things. As a thumb rule, your methods should always do only one thing. Okay, okay, the second rule is it should always and only do only one thing. Okay, so yeah, anyways, your method should be very neat and clean, and it should do only one thing. Okay, so that's the ultimate goal. So passing an argument may cause your method to do multiple things, so try to avoid as much as arguments possible. Better to have zero arguments to our method, and it's okay to have one, it's okay to, it's okay to have two, but three is something that you need to really look into. Okay, and four is definitely wrong. If you have an intention to pass four arguments to a method, most probably the method is doing a lot of things. Okay, if you are sure that the method is still doing only one thing even after passing four arguments, then better wrap those arguments. Okay, wrap those arguments to better collections. Okay, if you think all of them are string, maybe you can pass it in the form of a list, right? Or a map having a key as your string and values what the value you want to pass. Or you can also create a pojo that can hold all the strings together. So it's up to you to wrap these into a better collections and then pass it along, so that the number of variables, arguments passed to the methods getting reduced. So there is also one more advantage in development, that if you want to test a method with a lot of arguments, the unit testing is become problem. Suppose I want to test, okay, if this test case name not equal to null, then only I want to append this. Okay, if this test case name is not this, I want to add a default name. Okay, it becomes really complex for me to handle the scenarios based on the arguments. So better to have something like this. Okay, and there is also other rules, like you don't have to really pass boolean to methods. Okay, boolean as an argument to the methods should be avoided. Method arguments, okay, should be avoided. Why this is should be, guys? Because if you pass a boolean, okay, I could have, wrapped these two methods into one thing. Okay, something like public static void take screenshot, something like this. Okay, and then I could have passed a boolean, so something like is base 64. Okay, so this is basically the boolean argument that I want to pass. So here I would have written a logic is if is base 64, then you do this code. Okay. Okay. Else you do this. Okay. I could have written a logic like this, but if you use an if condition, okay, then your method is doing two things. One is taking brace 64 screenshot, one is taking a screenshot as image and then returning with a file path. So it basically implies that you are doing two things. Okay, just by the method signature without even looking into the code, if you're passing a boolean, and that I can understand that you are doing two things, because most probably you will do an if conditions there. So that automatically implies you are doing two things. There can be people who pass arguments but don't do anything with it. Again, I cannot comment anything about it, right? So yeah. So this is bad. So let's move on. And what else we could think about? We have considered public. So access modifier should be as closed as possible. Okay, try to prefer private, then protected, then package protected, and then go on to public. Okay, so it goes in the decreasing order like this. Okay, so that's how it should be. Okay, again, try to have very simple return types so that it's more easy for you to understand. Again, it's okay to use generics and list and other complex return types, but if you are returning complex return types, most probably um, you are doing a lot of things in your method. Okay, so it's not a thumb rule, but still you can consider this. Okay, and one more good example that I could think about is try to avoid try catch in a method, but we cannot avoid it all the time, right? So try catch in a method is fine, but most probably the problem with the try catch is, at least have that as a first statement. Have that a first statement. Okay, in a method. Okay, most probably, why I'm telling this. Okay, if you notice, this particular piece of thing is doing something, right? And maybe your system is in half cooked state. Okay, you took a screenshot and then you don't know what to do with that source file, right? So you have the source file, you have the target, but you don't know, you rely on this particular thing to perform it. So it's better, you know whenever you are using a try catch, you extract that as a method. So I'm going to extract this as a method, like copy uh, from copy file. Okay, it's more okay to write like this, because it's easily understandable than this, right? So I'm trying to take a screenshot, having a source, having a target, and then I'm copying it. Okay, so if there is any problems, I can go and handle this try catch separately, right? So i- if I have that in this method itself, it may be not readable, or it's not maintainable. So it's better, whenever you're using a try catch, try to refactor and extract that as a separate method, so that it's easy to optimize it later point of time. So yeah, that's all about it. And there is other reasons why people prefer to have this as a separate thing, is because most probably it will leave you in a half cooked state. Okay, suppose you are doing some database operation, you write some you inserted some values into a table, and then you, while inserting another values into the table, you use try catch block, and then this fails, which means the value that you inserted before is in the half cooked state. Leaving your system in a half cooked state is really bad. So that's why even this people try to avoid, and then try to club everything together inside inside this, right? So don't try to have a separate statement like this. Better you can have a whole stuff, and then in the finally block you can remove whatever the table that you have inserted. Okay, so that's something that you can keep in mind, when using try and catch blocks. Again, there are certain other rules, like more readability. You can have a command and separation theory, but I don't have a really good use case to explain this. But for now, whatever we have done is really good. So we have extracted this as a separate a class, and then two different methods that can able to do whatever the stuff. Again, most importantly, when you're having a private method like this, try to have this private method you know uh, next to the public method, which uses this private method. And most probably you can cut this and then paste it on the top. Okay, try to have your most used method on the top, so that people can come and quickly fix it. Okay, and then try to have the private method below the public method that uses it. In this case, this is the one that is using it. In some cases, there are two public methods that may use, and it's okay to have below one of them. You don't have to have it in between both of them, right? So that's not needed, right? So yeah, so that's all about methods and extracting. We'll do more refactoring in the next video. I'll see you guys in another great video. Tada, bye bye.